Hello, everyone, and welcome to the college football playoff rankings sponsored by Four Downs and Three Counts. It is the All Four Downs podcast. And yes, it's your boy, OV1. And I got a lot to talk about here. Moving on to first down, real quick. And as I continue with my settings here, oh, here we go. Woo, man, with my afro. You can hear me out real quick. We're going to take a recap on what happened earlier today, the announcement of the college football playoff rankings, the projected 12-team bracket, as you probably already know have seen. And if not, well, here you go, because the top four teams did not change. And that is number one, Ohio State, two, Indiana, three, Texas A&M, and four, Alabama. But if we look through 5 through 12, five stayed the same with Georgia. Then you got number 6, Texas Tech, number 7, Ole Miss, number 8, Oregon, number 9 is Notre Dame, number 10 is Texas, and 11 is Miami, which I'm going to talk about pretty soon about Miami Hurricanes. And number 12, I was on point on this to see who will be number 12 here, as not only then South Florida from the American Conference, predicting that they will be the American Conference champions. But um, the first round projected to be where South Florida faces Georgia, Notre Dame versus Oregon, Miami versus Texas Tech, and Texas versus Ole Miss. Well, that all sound groovy and everything else. I am questioning about a certain school being ranked, and that is Miami. They're at number 11. I really do. I am questioning a little bit, uh, because there's the way they're playing, and I'll move on to the overall bracket rankings, excuse me, that I've had, is that I'm just dumbfounded as to why Miami is ranked on top of Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's only lost one game, and if you look comparing to the schedules and stuff, like, listen, they're pretty much equal on the strength of schedule. I don't know where their data comes from that Miami should be on top of Georgia Tech. That is so ridiculous, because if the season was to end, Miami is not even in the picture for the ACC championship. It's Georgia Tech, and by a long shot. I mean, you would have to have Georgia Tech to lose the next two games for Miami to reach to the ACC championship. And by means, there's a lot of ties going on right now that has to be settled. So let's take a look, because Georgia Tech on top of the ACC, then Virginia, Pittsburgh, SMU, and Duke. Miami 3-2, not even close. So that's why I'm scratching myself in my head and be like, why is Miami on top of Georgia Tech? And did you look at the way Miami's playing? Ah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it, and I don't think I will understand. And hopefully by next week, it'll be clear to correct this mistake. Honestly, all right. Looking on both sides, look, I even have a flip flop with Indiana and Texas A&M. I do believe that Texas A&M has a strength of schedule is much harder than Indiana, yet they're undefeated. Okay, but they should be deserving at the number 2, not Indiana. And quite frankly, Indiana still got to prove to me a lot more. I know they're good, a lot better than last year, but we all know what happened last year in the playoffs with Indiana. They got spanked so bad that they didn't even belong there. But I think this is the most improved team right now, but they're not better than the Texas A&M Aggies. They're not close. Okay. And I can't wait to see the battle between Ohio State and Indiana, should it go that way. And hopefully it be proven to me that Indiana are contenders. Just saying. All right. Alabama, I respect that. I even have a flip flop with Georgia and Texas Tech. Why? Texas Tech's playing a great football, but the Georgia Bulldogs seem to only play in the second half. And if you're considering the blowout with Mississippi State, I don't count that. What I do count is the whole entire season is that it's almost like Georgia's still figuring out what they're supposed to do on offense. Okay. The defense, yeah, they're playing hard. But as of late, it just they're very quick offense, and we're lucky. The Georgia Bulldogs are lucky that the defense are keeping them in the game. So when the offense do click, then they start scoring. But there's been a lot of fourth quarter comebacks for Georgia Bulldogs. I have Notre Dame at number 7, even though the committee have them at number 9. Or I do agree with Oregon. Uh, I have Ole Miss at number 9, even though the committee has them at 7, and that's okay. Uh, I agree with Texas, but Georgia Tech needs to be in the top 12. Georgia Tech is leading the ACC, and it's not Miami. And yet I have Utah at number 12, but Utah's out with South Florida in. You have Oklahoma and BYU real close, but um, I think they're overrated. But I do believe that Oklahoma will be deserving in the top 12, depending on the outcome of what happens this weekend as they go on the road at Alabama. All right. Comparison again. Um, within the bracketology. Of course, it would change, but I kind of like mine's better, honestly. Ole Miss versus Oregon. I would love that battle with the offense. I still feel like Texas Tech could be a little bye week versus South Florida before they take on Alabama. Georgia Tech and Georgia, I've discussed this already this past weekend. A potential rivalry again. It could be. Notre Dame and Texas, that could be a solid game. But then if you look at the committee having another SEC game between Texas and Ole Miss, yeah, not down with that. And everybody else is different. But again, I think the clear path is that we need to get these rankings just tweak it a little bit better. Again, with Miami being still in the picture, I'm just curious to see how this will play off when Miami's not going to be in the ACC championship. How would that fare with everybody else? Let's move on to second down. And it's time for my picks. And I'll start off with Notre Dame versus Pittsburgh. I do have Notre Dame winning big against Pittsburgh because the fact that in comparison, both of these teams have played NC State and Boston College, and Notre Dame has that advantage. Their defense is what's winning at Notre Dame. And I do believe that Pittsburgh, I'm not counting them as one of the top teams. I know they're in the top 25, but I don't think they will get the job done. I know they love to score a lot of points, but when you're playing against a defense like Notre Dame, it's going to cut short. Texas versus Georgia. Arch Manning versus Gunnar Stockton. Who is going to be the face of this game? Who's going to have this momentum? I tell you that Texas has been struggling. They're winning, but winning closely. They're not winning big. In comparison, both Texas and Georgia played Mississippi State, and Texas had to go to overtime for that victory, while the Georgia Bulldogs, they blew out Mississippi State. The last 4 wins for Texas, again, very close, and they had a bye week, so they got pretty much 2 weeks to get ready to be at Georgia. And as far as the Bulldogs concerned, and my question is, will that offense play all 4 quarters? I need them to score all 4 quarters to be convincingly enough to maintain there. But I do favor Georgia winning, just like they did last year against Texas. South Florida versus Navy. This game is a flip flop each year. They rotate who wins. I got a feeling that this time South Florida will be favored to win. However, looking at all this, I wouldn't be surprised if Navy pulls it out. I wouldn't be surprised. But in these circumstances, it's just South Florida is playing a lot better football. I don't even know when or how or what, but they're nothing close to last season. So I do believe South Florida will win. Iowa versus USC. That is a great battle. but I have Iowa just upsetting USC in California and just sending them home. All right. The hopes are high, but they're going to be denied. Kennesaw State versus Jacksonville State. This is the top Conference USA game. Both teams are undefeated within their conference, but Kennesaw State has an advantage and they will prevail. And lastly, Oklahoma versus Alabama. And yes, I do have an upset alert on this game. Last season, Oklahoma did defeat Alabama 24-3. And yes, the game was in Oklahoma, but it seems like it's a repetitive situation here because Oklahoma have this win streak, then they lose a couple of games, and then they get back on track. For Alabama, they still left questionable. The last two games is still like uncertainty for me. And I believe that it's going to really catch up to Alabama. No disrespect to the Oklahoma defense, because I feel like their defense is better than Alabama. I really do. And I do believe that defense does win championships. It really do. So in that case, I do have Oklahoma defeating Alabama. So I got two upsets alert this week, or actually, let me see. Yeah, two already for my pick six games here. What do you think? Do you think I'm going crazy here or what? Who knows, man? Y'all let me know. Let me know. Let me know. I'm trying to see if I could zoom this one quick. There we go. So on and so forth. I'll zoom in even more. All right. These are my top six games. Go ahead and book it. Win some money, whether you're on DraftKings or wherever sport betting app that you use, because I know for a fact that I'm guaranteeing 6 wins here. And I'm gonna go ahead and move on to third down, incomplete. Fourth down is incomplete, and final whistle, baby. It is over. So, with all that, what do you think about the college football playoff rankings? Do you agree or disagree? And again, who is your favorite? And next episode, we're going to be talking about the Heisman. It's been a while since I've talked about a Heisman, and in due time, because I thought I had a favorite, but every week I keep changing my mind. So that will be on the next episode of All Four Downs. Thank you for watching. Take care, everyone. Have a great week and happy veterans to all that serve.